Where did your journey with the Book of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala start? What inspired it? And yeah, when did it all start?
Yeah. Really important question. I hope you don't mind if I can start with a different question first.
100%.
Simply because, like, I think we speak about the wheres and the whats and the hows quite a lot. But I think for me, the most important thing is the why. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of kind of talk at the moment, start with why and things like this in terms of motivation as to why you do anything in your life, whether that's a project or something that you're personally motivated to do. But why did I memorize the Quran? Why not? Do you understand what I mean? I'm really upon like this mentality that this should be something, of course everyone differs in their ability, but it should be a standard. We should be a Quranic nation. The Sahaba were given the Quran. Look at them before the Quran and after. They were completely transformed and they took over the world. Of course we're in a different position now, but that is what we're aiming for. So why not? I would love every single woman to have memorized the Quran as far as they're able to, just because we are the ummah in the sense that we give her, we are a female, we're one half, and then we give birth to the other half. So it's so important for us to do that. So those are some of my motivations as to why I did. Alhamdulillah, like you spoke about mathematics and kind of academically, I had the ability to. So again, why not? Allah has given me the ability to do all of these different things. MashaAllah, you're a medic. There's so much that you learn. There's so much that you have to memorize as you are doing your degree. So how can we put our kind of brain power to all of those things, but we don't put it towards the Quran? Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, and I guess the last thing that I would like to say before I go back to the where is, again, why did I memorize the Quran? Because I love it. As in, subhanAllah, we claim to love Allah, we claim to love Him. So how can we not spend time listening to what He says to us? Alhamdulillah, people get married. When you hear, kind of romance, maybe you've written a love letter, or maybe you've got some text messages, I guess in the technology age at the moment, you would love to read that letter from your beloved. You would love to kind of look at that text message. You'll read it over and over again. But if we claim to love Allah, how can we not read His book over and over again? How can we not be attached to it? And that is where really, where did my journey start? It started with love. We all need to start with love, okay? Because that's the only way we're going to sustain our journey with the Quran. Love, okay? It's not just the do it at this time and that time. It's love. That's what's going to sustain it. But at the same time, it's that offering to Allah. Ya Allah, I love you, so this is why I'm doing it, if that makes sense. Alhamdulillah. So definitely why. Where, I said with love. I'd say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Many people speak about kind of their background. I would say my mum was is a huge inspiration of mine. And so when we were younger, she did take us to kind of like madrasa. I probably started really late compared to other people. Like I think I was like 9, pushing 10 before I started going to madrasa. And so in that I would, learn your kind of the last few surah of Juz Amma, etc., etc. So at that situation, learning, I don't know why, but I loved the Quran, the way it was recited. It was something that I was like really keen to learn how to recite really well. And so it might have still been quite a surface level relationship at that age, but there was a keenness with it, if that makes sense. And so then I kind of grew a bit more, went into secondary school, and I think at that age, my first year of secondary school, kind of memorised Juz Amma, like with my friends and things like that. That was really exciting. And I remember kind of maybe not necessarily doing too well in the class initially, and then being called to the head teacher's office. And I just kind of wanted to prove them wrong, that, I'm going to memorise it. So I did, and I did it really well, alhamdulillah. But like I said, it was still quite surface level, like how much of it can you recite? Can you do it without any mistakes? And I think spending time in school, the kind of the schooling in this country, it's quite, in science, you learn a lot about evolution and things like this. And I think at that point in time, I was thinking like, astaghfirullah, but kind of like, how do I know that this deen is the truth? Do you understand what I mean? And I think we have to speak about these things that, the Sahaba would come to the Prophet ﷺ and say, Shaitan kind of whispers to us things that we can't even mention them to you. And of course the Prophet ﷺ told them that is a sign of faith. You feeling like, I can't even mention this, it's a sign of faith. So at that time I was having these thoughts in my head, and I remember going like to my closet. I think I was going to take out the Quran, I wanted to recite it. And we all have these moments, when you open it and you're like, oh subhanAllah, this ayah was for me now. Do you understand what I mean? So I opened it. It was one of those, masahib that are like half English, half Arabic, like with the line, the old school ones. I opened it, and the ayah that I kind of opened it to was an ayah in Surah Ibrahim alayhi salam. Afillahi shakkun. Afillahi shakkun fatir as-samawati wal ard. Do you know what I mean? Is there any doubt in Allah Azza wa Jalla? And I was like, subhanallah, yes. Yeah. Those questions, there's no need for those questions anymore, because there's no way, nobody knows these thoughts that are in my heart. Nobody knows these thoughts that are in my head, and Allah has brought me to that kind of feeling of assurance that how can there be any doubt, and it's upon all of us, anyone who's watching, us here, to go back and look at that beautiful passage and what the conversation that actually entailed there. There is no doubt with Allah Azza wa Jal. So I think from then, it became a lot more personal, like Allah spoken to me. Do you understand what I mean? Out of all of his, creation, he's spoken to me. And that's when it started to become quite, subhanAllah, beloved to me, because it was just like an act of gratitude. Ya Allah, you helped me in this respect, you guided me in this respect, so I must stay, as close to the book as I possibly can. And so I think from then, kind of in the madrasa that I went to, you kind of memorize Juz Amma, you might go on to do Juz Tabarak, but there wasn't really that expectation to kind of go all the way. But I knew that I wanted to go all the way, and so I would do it bit by bit, as much as I possibly could. Alhamdulillah. And I would do that. And then kind of when I entered college, I started this kind of Alamiyya program, kind of a lot of the classical works, like, students that had gone off to study like abroad, they had put together a program for those of us that were in the West. And I remember there was a session, it was actually Sheikh Sajid Umar, may Allah preserve him, and he was talking about this concept of tadabbur, kind of Quranic reflection, and understanding that the reason that Allah actually sent the book was لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. The actual reason was not just for tilawa. That lam, li, means it's so that you can ponder over his book. And I fell in love with that concept just because it created such an intimate connection with the book. Do you understand what I mean? You're reading it, but at the same time you're reflecting upon it, and you're understanding what is Allah's expectation of me in that point. You're asking yourself that question: what does Allah want from me as a result of reciting this Quran, and how can I ensure that I do it? So that's, kind of like the crux of tadabbur, subhanallah. So I think, again, that then added in another layer. It wasn't just Allah has guided me through that and made something so personal for me and beloved, but at the same time, he has then, I've come upon this concept of tadabbur, and I was so amazed that I hadn't come across it before. Do you understand what I mean? And alhamdulillah, I feel like it's a huge revival at the moment. But at the same time, the book is meant to be recited, it's meant to be memorized, but all of that is a tool. It's a means to getting closer to Allah by understanding what he wants from you, expects from you, and what the guidance actually is. So I think, so that's where it started, if that makes sense.
SubhanAllah, that's very beautiful. And I think I like how you flipped the question. I think that was needed. When did you continue to formalize the process? When did you embark on okay, we've done Juz Amma, we're going to do the hifth process. And why? And why hifth? Because like you said, there are multiple facets to the Quran, and tadabbur is it's at the essence of it, it's at the heart of it. Why did you decide to memorize the Quran?
Yeah, so like I said, again, that goes back to my why, is because I had the ability to. It was something that, you want to achieve. I think all of us want to be successful, and this was one marker of success for me. We're meant to be people of himmah, people of determination, people of kind of wanting to strive and do their possible best. And to me, like, memorizing the Quran was like the epitome of that. Do you understand what I mean? And so that's why I wanted to go for it. I needed to show Allah that, I wanted to end up at, in Yawm al-Qiyamah and say to you, I tried. Do you understand what I mean? This is what I did. And so that's really why I wanted to formalize it. So like I said, because I think we'll come back to this concept of expectations, because I didn't really feel an expectation upon me to memorize the Quran. It's something I wanted to. I kind of did it dribs and drabs. So just Amma when I was younger, then kind of just Tabarak. I kind of tried over like a period of time. But I think it was when I kind of entered university, I came across a program, like an online institute. It's one of the earlier ones that was about kind of memorizing Quran. It was like, you're going to memorize it in 5 years. This is the barnamij. You do 3 from the back, you go to the front, if that makes sense. And so that's when there was a program given to me. There was an expectation, and I was able to kind of try my best to follow that guidance and memorize the Quran in that respect, alhamdulillah. I didn't with that institute, but there was that kind of, that box. This is how you do it. This is the way. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And so that was kind of when I started to formalize it.
Yes. I have a very unique question to you, given your background. You are obviously an academic. You're a person who studied mathematics, mashallah, as your undergrad. Do you think that nature, like what you've just spoken about, this idea that, you thought, okay, I can and I want to, and I want to do kind of like the best that I can do with the Quran, I sort of want to do it. Do you think it was because of that nature that you had, because of your academia, because of your academic drive, your zeal, if you like, that kind of really pushed you and affected your mentality?
Yeah, I would say 100% because it's my makeup, if that makes sense. And so all of us, we all have different makeups, we all have different personalities. And so that was mine. And so again, like I said, I was searching for success. I wanted to, crown myself and say, yeah, I've done that as best as I possibly can. And so, yeah, lended myself to memorizing the Quran in that respect. But that being said, I don't think that's something that's only kind of... it's not in the world of academia. I think this concept of ihsan, and like I said, having himma, is something that is inherently Islamic.
True.
The believer is never static.
True.
It's not about being ordinary. Do you understand what I mean? The strong believer is better than the weak believer. This is our heritage. And so, whilst yes, kind of academia, that background, it might present from that perspective, but the real home of determination is Islam, because we're meant to be the best. What does Allah say? Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas. That is our mentality. We are meant to be the best nation. Do you understand what I mean? And so definitely, I think that drive, it comes from Islam as well, inshallah.
Yeah.
May Allah make us, Allahu Akbar, may Allah make us as true to that as we possibly can, because we have to have sidq ma'Allah.
Bi-idhnillah, bi-idhnillah.